Cook. Okay.
Okay, I was saying that when you get higher in education, your instructor will be reading off paper. He won't write, and if you miss out something, that little bit of something that you missed might be on an exam, and you don't get a second chance at um, getting that info unless you get it from maybe somebody who was paying attention. And you know what? Even if you get really high marks in all of the rest of your schoolwork, that little bit of info that you missed might bring your grade right down. And because you don't get a second chance at it, if your marks are really high, it could bring it down like that. It really could. So it's really important that you listen. And one of the important things about language is, well, if you know two languages, if, say, the teacher gives you um, if the teacher gives you something that you don't understand, you can always put it into another language. Maybe you'll understand it better that way. And the best example I have of that is I never was very good at math, you know. And even though the math we had in school was quite basic, um, the class I was taking there in Fairbanks really threw me because I didn't understand it. And when I got to Juneau, about 2 years later, one of the guys I was working with said to me, "Did you try and put it in Tlingit?" I said, "No, I had never even thought of it." He says, "I'll bet you could have done a lot better if you put that work into Tlingit. You would have understood it better." So I keep that in mind, and when I come across something I don't understand, that's what I try to do, switch it around. And something else, another example is in our little church, I take the gospel and I read it in Tlingit. And you know what happens with that? I see the written English, it goes in, and I see it, so it goes in here, and somewhere up in here, it gets all turned around. And when it comes out of my mouth, it comes out in Tlingit. So that's what you can do if you can speak Tlingit. See this, give you an example of that. Oh. Marissa Charlotte Krause, you do a soft, Jinkot Katlake, talk, yeah, Kuge, Dukatago, Lingit, Shawat, away, See? That's what it's written in English, but when I saw it and put it up here, it came out in Tlingit. And what it says, it's Marissa Charlotte Krause is an 11-year-old Tlingit girl. So, see, if you didn't understand that, if you put it in Tlingit, maybe it makes more sense to you. And this morning too, I was saying to the other kids, if it's boring to you when you have to stand up and introduce yourself, it shouldn't be boring to you, because your language, your name, your clan, the town you come from is the very basis of who you are. See, if somebody came along and they said, Masi, you do a sock. What's your name? And if you tell them you're Tlingit, it used to be that they would ask you right away, do you speak Tlingit? Do you at least understand it? So, you know, that's why we're trying to teach you that language. There's a logo that was made up years and years ago. It says, Hayukatangi Hasiti. We are our language.
Kokohan, we are a language, a poster down there, bring it, see it? Just take it off. You need to move your chairs back because you keep poking your head in here. You don't mean to, but it's happening.
This is what we call our logo. That was made up years ago. And right in here, Hayukatangi Hasiti. It says we are our language. And all of these other ones, it says the very same thing. We are our language, but in the language of the other languages of the Yukon. It used to be that I knew, which ones. I know this is Tlingit, but the others, they're kind of lost on me now. Emma Sam is your auntie, great auntie. She told me which of these belong to which group of people. But that's what it says. We are our language. So if you can speak your language, you can say that truthfully. Hayukatangi Hasiti. And maybe you know which one is Casca here.
Oh goodness, you're really testing me today.
Sorry.
Oh, I don't even want to try and guess. To be honest, I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all the languages of the Yukon.
What did you say this morning for our way of life?
Hayukatangi Hasiti.
Dena
Dinner not, it's in. I'm just trying to see if that's in there anywhere.
That one might be. This one?
Yeah,
Ushe.
let's push it through. We'll find out though. Which one's Casca?
I'm starting a novel study with kids in the 789 class on Monday. And there's different characters in the novel. Would it be okay if I asked them to do up like a little summary of each character, introducing them if they could? I wouldn't know how to.
They would only be able to introduce based on their introduction, but we can, if you bring it in Monday to Tlingit class, we can practice.
Okay, because I've got no way of assessing it or anything like that. I totally have to rely on.
It's going to be
on
observation.
you.
Yeah, and it's going to be oral because they're not fluent writers. we're just introducing writing and not really focusing on it more, that they acquire, basic oral communication.
Okay.
And like right now, we're just doing, like the fluent, the highest you can go introduction,
Okay.
fluent speaker. So, yeah,
Pardon
just come
pardon
in.
the interruption, I just.
That's
wanted to
all right.
run it by you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
We'll talk on Monday.
Yeah. I'll come see you before I leave today so I can get a better understanding and think about it this weekend.
Yeah, like I don't have anything down on paper,
Yeah.
but it's just basically, you know how they write about each character and
Yeah.
who they are and stuff
Yeah.
like that, just,
Okay,
alright, thanks.
you, Geek, you, I can shut it off?
Mhm.